Hey, man, I just tell the truth.
Come on, man.
And they don't like that.
When Crowder tells you guys that it's not a World War III, blah, 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 what he doesn't understand is that warfare has changed. If we're going to go ahead and talk about conventional warfare that he's probably thinking about when he's saying that World War III isn't here, sure, he could be right in that regard if he's using the old definition of warfare. But what he doesn't understand, as many domestic political commentators don't understand, the Charlie Kirks, the Michael Knowleses, the Matt Walshes, etc., what they don't understand is that warfare has changed. And the reason why these guys don't comment on foreign affairs a lot of the times is because, especially now, it'll show their weakness and show their protection of Israel. Because if you're going to go ahead and talk about American foreign policy, if you're being honest with your audience and you're keeping it real, you're going to have to at some point admit that our foreign policy is absolutely dictated by Israel. Okay? It is what it is, right? Some guys like Jeffrey Sachs, who you saw before, is honest about this and talks about it all the time. Colonel McGregor has talked about it. Scott Ritter's talked about it, etc. But that's kind of what I've realized is that a lot of the best, or the most popular conservative commentators typically don't understand foreign policy. And the reason why they don't understand foreign policy, or they do, but they, tell you guys the lie that Israel doesn't run our shit, or even worse, like a Ben Shapiro who's a propagandist for Israel. The reason why is because it reveals their weak point, the Achilles heel, which is they're Zionists and they're pro-Israel, like most of conservative media, which nowadays is not a good thing to be. Now, why do I say this? By Crowder saying that it's not World War III, that shows the gross misunderstanding of Middle Eastern foreign affairs. Because what he doesn't get is that World War III is here. It's just being waged in a different way. Okay? The trench warfare is done. Now it's done through internet hacks, assassinations, precise strikes, etc. It's been going on since October 7th, guys. I did a whole explanation explaining to you guys how we got to this point in the escalation ladder of how we even got here. I'll run through it real quick for you guys. It started with the killing of Soleimani in 2020. Trump killed him in Iraq with a drone attack, precise drone attack, that killed him. That was a big deal because Qasem Soleimani was the commander of the Axis of Resistance, and he was the one that was coordinating a lot of these, attacks or, escalations with the Axis of Resistance against Israel. After Qasem Soleimani was killed, they bombed the embassy in Damascus in Syria. Israel did. Killed several generals. Then they killed Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, Iran. Israel did. They assassinated him. They blew up his house, or blew up the place they were staying at. Right? Then they killed Hassan Nasrallah, head of Hezbollah, in an airstrike. Then they killed Fuad Shukr. Right around the same time they killed Hassan Nasrallah, Ismail Haniyeh. Same day, like July 30th, then July 31st. Within 2 days, they killed the leader of Hamas, the political wing, the guy they were negotiating with, and they killed the leader of Hezbollah. Then in September, they killed Hassan Nasrallah. Then they went ahead and they destabilized Syria. They conducted the ceasefire, and they basically got Ahmed al-Shar and his crew to get into Syria. They took Aleppo, and they took Syria. All these are escalations. But none of this was really reported in Western media because Western media doesn't cover Middle Eastern affairs like that. They just don't. It is what it is. It's fine. But for him to say that this isn't World War III shows the ineptitude when it comes to the Middle East and what's going on over there. It's been going on for years. Okay? It's just that it's not reported over here. And most importantly, a lot of conservative commentators don't care to know this shit. Okay? What's more interesting? That or what's more interesting? Covering 99 genders or, Hezbollah leaders getting assassinated through Israeli airstrikes? Which one is it? Right? So what's up, Mo? All right. So what's more interesting? Right? What's going to get more clicks? Obviously. So while Crowder was covering, the election and, gender stuff and racial issues, whatever it may be, all this stuff was transpiring in the Middle East. All these escalations were happening. The war's already began and it's still going. This is just a temporary ceasefire. But this is going to continue on, guys. Okay? October 7th pretty much already kicked off the war. It's just that you're not hearing about it. I mean, I've covered it extensively here, but for him to say, oh, it's not World War III, bro, that's just ignorant. You just because you're not reporting on it or you're not familiar with that area of what's going on and the way they conduct warfare, because the Israelis, like I told you guys before, and I'll say it again, the Israelis conduct warfare differently. The IDF is a military that is heavily dependent upon its intelligence and its air force, okay? They don't have the ability to do ground assault like conventional militaries do. So they rely heavily upon Oman, their DIA equivalent, Mossad, their CIA equivalent, Unit 8200, their NSA equivalent, and utilizing sources and informants to get shit done surreptitiously in a clandestine manner. That's what they specialize in, okay? And I've been told you guys this. Warfare nowadays is done differently, okay? After World War II, intelligence agencies run shit. A lot of the times, intelligence agencies do a lot of the heavy lifting, and then you're able to go ahead and use a special unit, use a paramilitary group, use a proxy, whatever, to finish the job. This is how warfare is done now. And it's been going on since October 7th. And, you know, I've covered the escalation ladder with you guys multiple times, right? So World War III is here. Yes, there's a temporary pause, but it's important for people to realize that Iran now is absolutely going to work towards a nuclear weapon. That's without a shadow of a doubt. We also know that Iran, Russia, and China work together. China gets a significant amount of its oil from Iran at a good price, by the way, because of the sanctions. Since Iran has sanctions on them, they can't do business with other people, so they sell their oil at a better price to the Chinese. You guys think that the Chinese, who get a lot of their oil at a great price, is going to sit there and allow Iran to be thrown over by the West and lose influence in Iran? Probably not. Right? Probably not. They saw that Iran was able to defend itself because it has a very competent ballistic missile program. They were able to incur quite a bit of damage on Israel. And they got bombed with their nuclear facilities. It was a limited strike by the United States. So there wasn't really a need for China to intervene. But China was giving aid, and China has a vested interest in Iran not being destroyed. Because if Iran is destroyed and they put a puppet government in there, guess what? The Chinese aren't going to get their oil at a great price like they usually do. And then on top of that, they will lose the influence of a very big military superpower in the Middle East, the biggest one by far. Okay? So a lot of things are happening behind the scenes that people don't see. Obviously, we see also Russia invaded Ukraine, taking over Ukraine. That's a proxy war that we're fighting right now with the Russians. Then on top of that, we know that Taiwan every single day is threatened by China, right? They say one day it's, they're going to invade Taiwan. Another day it's not going to invade Taiwan. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen? So it's very important to understand all these different pieces are moving around, okay, at all times. And we're just one assassination, one airstrike, one, escalation from a potential conflict, right? We saw what happened on October 7th. October 7th basically kicked off a greater war in the Middle East, okay? That involved all of the acts of resistance proxy powers. Syria, Lebanon, Houthis down in Yemen, Iraq, the militia fighters there, because there are some militia fighters in Iraq that are loyal to Iran, while there's some that are loyal to the U.S., Iran, etc. So we are absolutely in World War III now. People don't like to say that, right, because it sounds bad, but World War III has already started. We're just got a temporary pause right now. But you can best fucking believe that there's going to be another conflict because Iran is not going to stop getting the nuclear weapons. They're going to fight even harder for them now. And we know that Israel and the United States say they can't have nuclear weapons. Okay? This is why I say that the whole operation that they ran was a failure, because they didn't affect regime change. If you don't affect regime change, guess what? They're going to keep doing what they're doing. And Israel knows that. Israel knows that. Right? So they're okay with the nuclear program being pushed back a little bit right now, but we know that they're going to push towards another one. So the conflict isn't done. It's just a temporary pause. But again, like I said before, for Crowder to sit there and say, oh, they lied to you and that it's not World War III or whatever, that's being extremely oblivious to all the different things that are going on and all the other pieces that are going on and all the escalations that have went on in the Middle East, right, that I've talked about before. High-profile assassinations, airstrikes, attacks, operations, clandestine operations by intelligence agencies. All of these are escalations, guys. They're escalations. They might not be conventional escalations like bombing fucking Pearl Harbor, but they're absolutely escalations on the use of force continuum when it comes to warfare, okay? And then just so you guys know, what Israel did with Operation Rising Lion, where they bombed their fucking radars, bombed their military facilities, assassinated their generals, killed their nuclear scientists, that's their Pearl Harbor, by the way. FYI, that is their Pearl Harbor, okay? It was a sneak attack that was done on them while they were in the middle of negotiations with the United States, okay? So, again, warfare has changed a lot, okay? So the conventional type warfare that I'm assuming Crowder is referring to when he's saying that we're not in the middle of World War III, that simply isn't true because warfare has changed. If you want to go ahead and use the older definition for warfare, dudes fucking fighting in the middle of a field or some shit, fine. You can make the argument that it's not World War III. But if we're going to talk about how warfare is conducted now, it's absolutely fucking World War III. Absolutely it is. We got several countries, right, fighting against Israel, which Israel pretty much, started a lot of these conflicts with these countries. And that's where we are. And we are supporting Israel because they can't actually defend themselves against these different regional powers all across the Middle East. And we know for a fact it's going to continue because they are not going to stop doing their nuclear program. So this is going to happen again. This is just a temporary ceasefire to allow Israel time to recuperate, replenish their air defense, okay, because you guys know that those missiles are fucking expensive, rebuild Tel Aviv, and then launch another operation to try to decapitate the regime. And Israel will not stop until they decapitate the regime. You could take that one to the fucking bank. So anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and